Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. I've got one heck of an interview for you today. We're talking with Roddey Sterling. That name may not mean too much to you right now, but I think in the future it's going to be a big one. So I'm getting in on the ground floor on this guy, just like he's getting in on the ground floor of this podcast. Roddey used to come by the High Spots Training School and received training when he was about 14 years old. And he was kind of a punk kid, but, he kind of disappeared as he got a little bit older. And I always kind of wondered about him. But now we've reconnected on this podcast. It's one of the beauty of it is that I can meet people that I haven't seen in a while. We can sit down and have a nice conversation. And Roddey's doing quite well for himself. He's working his way up the ranks, trying to become a NASCAR driver. He's running races on the K&S series, I believe. I probably got that wrong, and I'm sure somebody's watching NASCAR is probably going to crucify me. But that's okay, because my new best friend, yes, that's right, best friend, Roddey Sterling is on the program, and he's got my back. So I'm pretty excited to have him on. It was wonderful sitting down with him. I even had to talk to his media agent just to land this interview. And we had to do it at a studio that was equipped with 4K cameras. So Roddey's doing quite well for himself right now, and it's wonderful to sit down and talk with him. But anyways, before we jump into this wonderful interview that I have coming your way, let's talk about where I'm going this weekend. I'm actually going to make the long trek back to Iowa, and kind of where it all began, and wrestling for Scott County Wrestling on March 21st in Walcott, Iowa at the Walcott Coliseum. I'll be taking on Merrick Brave. I think Merrick was in my second or third match of all time, so it's going to be really cool and really interesting to get to wrestle him again and just seeing a bunch of people I haven't seen for a very, very long time. So once again, Scott County Wrestling, March 21st. For more information, look him up on Twitter at SCW Pro. Now, also, too, another piece of information before we jump into this wonderful interview, I want to let you know if you want to be a sponsor of this podcast, please contact me at this email address, jake@sslshow.com or manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. Manscout's mostly the booking email, but if you want to talk about podcast business on the booking email, I'll let it slide. But anyways, without any further ado, let's jump into this interview with my new best friend. That's right, best friend. I'm going to put the title on it just like that. Not just friend, but one of my best friends, Roddey Sterling. Probably the nicest setup that I've ever recorded a video podcast in. I must say,
it doesn't have to be the last time. We can always work together and make stuff happen. So,
well, this is a beautiful setup here. From the young kid that I knew that walked into 3020 Latrobe Drive to learn how to be a pro wrestler at the age of 13. To now walk into his nice professional studio with professional people giving me professional lights while I walk in with my $20 Best Buy tripod.
No. No.
So,
but it's been a hell of a journey. But
obviously, I had to contact your agent, and then we had to prove the questions, and then we had to get through the other. Like, I thought I knew you, but apparently I got to go through your agent. You got people now.
Everybody's got to do that. Hell, my mom, before she gives me the grocery list, has to go through them. So
I'd rather go through your mother.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot she made it. I remember Bobby when he was there.
Oh
used to
gosh,
hit on my mom.
The jokes that we used to make about you. Well, not jokes.
No,
but flattering comments we used to make about
But see,
mother.
I used to deal with that in school, so it's not a big thing. And
I bet.
I had a sister that I don't remember if you remember my sister.
Oh, your sister was a fox as well.
Yes, foxier actually, and she's actually pregnant now. So.
Oh well, that'll do it.
She's got one in the oven.
But anyways, I'm sitting here with Roddey
Sterling.
Roddey Sterling. Okay,
like Roddy Piper.
Exactly.
Because I also call me Rodney or Piper.
Okay, Piper was always what I was go for, so I didn't know what the proper term is.
Okay.
So now from the young kid that wanted to be a pro wrestler, now you were involved in NASCAR. The big two in North Carolina, the Carolinas, that is, NASCAR and wrestling. So at your young age, you've already run through the gamut pretty much, in a sense.
It's like anything in life, I feel like you have to. And I was lucky growing up. I was crap at so many different things in life other than like golf, that when I found wrestling and I kind of want to do that and I actually picked it up quick, it's like, man, I want to do this. And then with racing, I fell into it and turned out to be good at it. But I'm glad I wasn't the kid that was good at soccer, baseball, or really smart in school, or was good at a lot of different things, because it made it really easy to choose.
You're like, really dumb. So
yeah. So you can turn left and snort Vagisil or whatever. you've seen the South Park episode where to drive NASCAR they eat Vagisil.
Oh yeah.
Because they think you have to be dumb to drive. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh yeah,
that's true.
That's right. He had to get dumber and dumber. I mean, it's kind of a blue collar sport, but it takes a considerable amount of upfront income.
It's marketing, income, money, sponsors. It's literally become a marketing machine. I mean, in my personal opinion, and a lot of people don't agree with this, but I think 10 years to 20 years from now, everything race team wise, I think the race costs will have to come down, and I think every race team will pretty much be like you see here. I think it'll be honestly an advertising agency almost, with an added value of racing. I know that sounds crazy, but the way the sport is headed, the business model they have now, I don't know how much longer it's going to sustain, because I'm not in the big leagues, but in NASCAR Sprint Cup, it's between $20 and $30 million a car, for one car for a season. Gosh. So that's become very hard for sponsors to justify. I mean, you can't do it anymore. You got social media, you can diversify your marketing and also track your yield and your return a lot better. So why would you go spend, not all the sponsors out there, I'm glad to know, but I mean, I'm just saying, it's for the Sprint Cup at least, to where I'm headed. I think before I get there, I'm hoping, and I think it will evolve a good bit over the years until I reach that point, where that's pretty much like the WWE of,
Well, obviously,
racing.
Yeah. Obviously, and there's not a lot of spots. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have to want to walk away. And in wrestling, at least when the guy starts to get 33, Vince McMahon starts looking at a guy like, maybe you need to kind of get out of here.
You should be like a GM for a month or something.
Where like in NASCAR, a guy can do it in his 40s, and can be going until.
But it's getting harder and harder, where like standards of being physically fit. Like even myself, I've put on like 10 or 15 pounds and just lost like 8 pounds. I went to Miami for a trip for 10 days and was kickboxing and training. And even now, like at the house, I have like a steam room, like a sauna, and I will put on my suit, which is 3 layers, and then I'll put on Nomex too. So whatever in the car can get up to like 150 degrees. So I'll literally get in a sauna with all that stuff on and put it up to 120 and sit there for 30 minutes.
Just in prep.
Well,
for
almost pass out.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to be able to focus under that kind of stress on your body.
Yeah.
It's no different than being fatigued after a 45-minute bender in the ring with somebody.
Well, and it's for me, for me, and especially when I did football, is you have to get used to that punishment. Just getting pounded and pounded and pounded. And my bookings have slowed down a little bit recently. So then when I take one, all of a sudden, like, ooh, that not feel good. Yeah. And I realize why that is because I've healed. And it's like I've healed all that stuff that was just a scar and a scab. Now everything is healed, so everything hurts more.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm sure it's much in the same way of racing.
Yeah.
Your body's used to not being at those temperatures, and you've been able to be a human being in a sense.
I didn't know. It's funny because I started out in road course racing my senior year in high school, and started doing that actually by accident. My dad collected older cars and newer cars, and was like, hey, let's go to Virginia International Raceway and take a Shelby Mustang that we had. And he said, let's take it out on the track and just have some fun. And I went out, and the first couple of times I was going to kill myself. Like, I was like, someone's going to die. Like, we should just leave. And then we came back again to another track day, got better. And then the third track day, I was the pace car. It was like a Maserati or something with a pro driver, and he couldn't shake me. So there was a guy there by the name of Tom Long who co-drove with Patrick Dempsey in the Rolex series. And Patrick Dempsey also does the television stuff, does the Grey's Anatomy. But he recognized me and then started training me in that car. And then before long, introduced me to Dean Martin, who was with Ford Racing and Rehagen Racing and the road course stuff with a Mustang, that built me a trainer car. Then he took me under his wing, did some, grooving in that. And before I knew it, eight professional but non-televised races later, I was on TV at Daytona in a road course race. So I was like totally...
How'd I get here?
Thrown into the deep end. No, thrown into the deep end.
How did I get here?
Honest to God, thrown into the deep end. I mean, And in interviews,
I just want to go fast. That's all I know.
Daddy, I just want to go fast.
I just want to go
Don't
fast.
put me in a car now. Don't put me in an actual race now.
Okay, well, that makes less than 15 minute into the podcast. I've already made a Ricky Bobby reference.
Yes,
I think that's pretty well I think I did pretty well.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what I should do with my hands right now either. But it's funny because I just was completely thrown to the deep end. And Dean Martin, who was the coach, would even tell you when he was watching, when you watch his interview, because I have some reality stuff coming out, he was saying, the only way to figure out if you can swim is if you throw them in the deep end. The only way a lot of times you figure out if somebody can handle a backdrop is if they just take one.
Oh, yeah.
And George South said to me one thing that I've carried, honestly, to every racetrack, and any time I've messed up, I'm in a race or should have taken something or whatever. He said to me one time when I was holding somebody, got knocked out trying to take a backdrop for the first time. He said, Fruit, if we thought about it in the first place, we wouldn't be here.
And that's the truth. That is really the truth with wrestling. And I'm sure it's the same way in NASCAR.
Yes.
Here you're driving this vehicle in the excess of 180, whatever. If you thought about what you were doing for a second,
be at home.
You would not be doing it.
You'd be making meatloaf with your wife and children watching Law and Order. You would not be
You're
in
like,
a car.
this does not sound like a good idea. I get a little rattly when I get over 95 miles per hour.
Well, there might be some times where we can put a passenger seat in the car and we can get some of the guys and go to the track and we can show you what it's like to go.
No, I've already thought about it. I'll stay at home, I'll eat meatloaf, and I'll watch Law
and Order. Okay.
So, you got thrown in the deep end there, but was there a moment you're like, I like this, and this is what I want to do?
Yeah, because at first I was totally afraid of it. And then right after I started training with Tom and then with Dean, I had a moment where it was like I got to a point and I kind of plateaued. So I wasn't competition ready. And then I don't remember what the revelation was, but I just remember working my tail off. And one day I just remember having a moment on track while I was driving that was like, holy, can I say shit?
Yeah. This is a podcast.
Yeah.
This whatever, unless
Holy,
you're.
No, but I mean, because that's the kind of moment it was. It was that big. It's like the moment you decided you wanted to become a wrestler, whether that was when you were 3 or when that was when you were 20.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit, this is what I am doing for a living. This is what I was put on the earth to do. If I don't pursue it, it's literally a waste because I just tapped into a different side of I'd never been a competitive kid growing up. I'd always just been a softie. And then all of a sudden it was like this beast was tapped into that I never knew existed. And it was just everything took over. And it was like, this is what I need to be doing.
And I think that's weird sometimes too. You get that sense of almost like either you're your body or in the sense you've become a different person.
Yes.
Well, it's that moment where, oh my gosh, this is far exceeded what I ever thought I could do. And now I'm doing that.
And so many people have told me, they're like, well, anybody gets in a race car and the adrenaline's flowing so much, you get so high on yourself, you think that's what you should do. But the funny thing was in road course racing, I never got anybody else gets out of the car, they're shaky. I totally was not that way. Road course racing, when I would race, was the only time, and probably because I have more than a few screws loose, but it was the only time I felt like I was at home and that I was comfortable. I was literally the most relaxing thing to me. It wasn't playing around a golf. It wasn't getting a massage. It was in that race car because I was at home. That was my job. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So literally, there's videos and the teachers have talked about it in different interviews, saying it kind of blew their mind because they'd get in the car with me and it was like I was just driving in my living room at home because I was happy. I was comfortable, but it took a second to get there. But once I did, it was just kind of like that's partially how I knew what I wanted to do. It's because so many guys, they say when they're training them or they're learning, are just jerky and this and that, and I was just very, you see your decision, you make it, you're not slow, but you're very smooth, so that's kind of what also encouraged them to encourage me to say, keep doing this, you have a future in this. But it's been, only a year ago is when I got into the circle track stuff. I did one road course race with the NASCAR Canyon Series, which is televised, and we started 20 or 30th. It was we started dead last because I had never run with that series, and qualifying rained out. So they started by points. So being that was their last race and my first NASCAR race, they put me in dead last, and I passed enough cars that I finished. I think it started 30th or something like that, and I finished 12th. And when I had never been in a car before, showed up, did not know how to turn the car on. Did not know there was a reverse in this car.
Okay.
First test session, could not make 2 clean laps. So when I got in the car, they told me, they were like, you know what, you can go out there, bring it back in the lead lap, don't freaking wreck it, don't wad it up. Because the way when I signed the contract with them is that I just had to pay for the transmission if I messed it up. I didn't have to pay for the engine or the car. So basically, if I wrecked it, It's $150,000 mistake, and they have to pay for it. So anyway,
You try not to make those.
yeah, that's why I'm not getting married.
Hey.
But
Hey.
but anyway, so we did that, and I ended up finishing 12th, and they were like ecstatic, and that was like basically for me and them with that level of experience, that was like winning the race from their eyes. And that's when I was really proud of myself, because a lot of people, when you think of first, second, third, and you think of 12th, you're like, huh. But out of 30 cars and all that in the competition, these guys have been in cars since. I mean, I'm racing against guys now where, I'm 21, just turned 21. Well, I turned 21 in June, and I've started my senior year of high school and I just started doing this a year ago, the circle track stuff, not the road course, but the circle track stuff. And I'm racing against kids that have been in go-karts since they've been 5 and 6. Like, their whole life has been, hey, drive this, and I'm having to compete against that. So I'm having to work twice as hard.
Oh yeah, I ran into that when I had my track and field career.
God.
Like I mean, shot putting I had been doing for quite some time, but like I wasn't big enough to be a world class shot putter. But I had the ability to be a hammer thrower. But when somebody explained to me that there's a Russian or a Ukrainian who's 8 years old who's been doing heel toes since they were 6 or 8 years old, it's like being the best hammer thrower in America only means I'm the 250th best in the world. And I didn't really want to strive for being the 250th best in the world. So so I feel you on that. But here's a question that I want to know. Now, like I said, I wanted to, I did shot putting as a kid, and of course all my parents had to do were buy a pair of shoes and a shot or a discus or something like that. When you go to mom and dad and say, I want to be a race car driver, what are the things that you have to purchase just to start your racing career? Obviously a car, that would be one, but I'm sure there's some surprise expenses in there.
Yeah. I totally think, and a lot of people get mad at me when I say this, but I'm like you in the sense that I'm opinionated. I'm a nice guy, but I'm opinionated, and I'm very honest.
I say passionate.
Passionate. I'm passionate, but I'm very honest in saying that the days of the blue-collar, poor man working on the farm, getting a race car driver, can drive really well, he's now a NASCAR star, those days are over, in my opinion.
I don't think anybody would disagree with you.
But there's some guys that are drivers that, just because you have had someone put money behind you doesn't mean you don't have talent. The problem is so many guys take that as, well, they don't have talent, they just had to have money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you want to get into racing, I know plenty of drivers now that I'm completely secure enough to say could outdrive me and 10 other guys that I could point to you off the mark, but don't have a ride and can't get one because they don't have the funding.
Exactly.
Some reasons is because their family doesn't have any money. 2, they're not marketable. They can't talk. They can't, some of them family has money and they just can't. So in some cases, their family has money and they just can't drive or they can't talk or both, But the thing that I think part of the problem with the sport is when you watch like tennis and everything else, it's even more boring. Well, I say more boring than racing. I love racing, but I'm putting it in the perspective of some fans that are younger watching their first NASCAR race, and they think it's just left turns. To them, it may be boring. And compared to that level of entertainment, like tennis and stuff, sometimes we'll have more views, like for Wimbledon or whatever. But the reason is because a mom can go buy her kid a tennis racket. They're still expensive, but you can't say, here, baby, here's a $600 race helmet, a $3,000 suit, and a $100,000 car, or between $10,000 and $100,000 car. Go drive around a track somewhere, because it's harder to relate. People can go out in their backyard and pitch a baseball.
Yeah,
you can't go out in your
glove,
backyard.
a bat, and a ball, and you're set.
You can't go out in your backyard and be like vroom vroom. Unless you want to do it on a lawnmower. Lawnmower racing's fun. Now we can do that too if you're familiar with slower speeds. We can also lawnmower race.
Okay.
That episode 2.
Episode 2. But yeah, that's a thing too, and you have to really know your implement, know your device that you want to be good in. If anybody that wants to be a great baseball player, you have to be doing it from the age of as young as possible, so you know the insides and out. We were just talking about my first podcast guest, Hannibal, and the way he talks about a deck of cards, and that he knows exactly where every one of the cards are at. If you said the 9 of clubs, he knows exactly where it is, and he knows if there's one card missing from that deck because of the way it feels, because he handles a deck of cards all the time.
Same as ring awareness.
Yes, it's same thing. You know, it's just like
Track awareness,
anybody
yeah.
that's great. They understand that, you know, and you have to understand it. So what are some of the things that you have to do training wise to really know about your car and the track that you're racing?
Here's the funny thing about racing, and it's what makes it so damn expensive, is you can read all the books you want. You can listen to all the coaches you want. I've had awesome coaches, but in the business we call it's called seat time. And it's literally getting out, making laps around other cars is the only way. You know, the only way you learn is by hitting stuff. It's literally, and it's not just me, because some people say, well, damn, that just means you're stupid or slow, but that's not that. It's literally like you don't know it until you get out and feel it. I mean, you drive out there with your ass. I mean, that's literally, in these cars, especially in road course cars, we had, you know, hundreds of points of data. We'd look at a computer and could tell, everything you could ever imagine we could see on a computer. With these cars, there's not that at all. So it's all from your ass and your psychology. But literally, so to answer that, I mean, you can train every way you want. I guess you could sit in a room and try to train your peripherals, or I don't know. I mean, I have a racing simulator at home. I mean, I do that, but it's not the same as getting in a car and just feeling it.
Well, obviously, because
You get that
like
speed,
I said,
you feel it.
that's
you know
the thing
it,
you're
you repeat
racing.
it.
You're not racing in a simulator. You're racing a car,
Correct.
physical car.
And I know a lot. And just for the record, I know a lot of guys that think they're just awesome that drive simulators that cannot drive with a crap in an actual race car. And because the only reason I'm a little self-conscious about that is because I'm really bad on a simulator. Okay. And everyone automatically assumes.
I'm horrible.
Everyone automatically assumes, well, you can't drive if you can't drive on a simulator. It's not true.
Okay, well, so you're telling me there's hope.
I'm proof.
Okay,
that,
good.
That you could be the next with a mustache like that. You could be the next Dale Earnhardt.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'd love to take that. I'd love to take that role. I'm very good at being the heel. So yeah, but yeah, my father does the simulator all the time. My dad is actually a very large NASCAR fan.
Oh man,
Closet NASCAR fan.
Closet NASCAR.
But see, here's what he found out about when he came out. For me, was when yes, I'm saying this intentionally to make it sound the way it's sounding. When my father finally came out to me, came out of the closet.
This will be the soundbite that goes in the preview for this to be like the catcher to make people watch it. We're gonna like talk about each other's fathers coming out to one another.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
You're gonna talk about your
like
father.
A 10-second thing. And
yeah,
then, yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. So, but anyways, when my father came out to me is when I was doing all those shows with Hermes Sadler. And he goes, you do shows with Hermes Sadler? He was Rookie of the Year 19 whatever it was. It was the same year that Jeff Gordon was up for it, but he beat out Jeff Gordon for Rookie of the Year. I can't remember which year it was. But my dad knew all the statistics, and and his brother Elliot, he's doing this. His brother, and I was like, I didn't realize you were a NASCAR fan, Dad. And he goes, yeah, but how? And then it came back to me that he always he would watch the races. But he never watched him for very long, and then he explained to me why is because every time that he would be watching the race, my mom would always make fun of him for watching it, and she'd make all these sounds like vroom, vroom, vroom. That's all it is. That's all they're doing.
Like
and then
another left turn.
Yeah, and then my dad would feel like kind of embarrassed, so he changed the channel to something else. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't like it now. But no, now that he's out and he's proud, you know, he's finally himself. You know, we go to the NASCAR Hall of Fame like all the time. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he bypass. Now that we've been so much, he bypasses like the movie you have to go into first. And the last time was the best because he normally can sneak right by, but this time the lady was waving him into the theater, and he'd already seen the movie a couple of times, and he's just like, and like a little kid, he just like ran the other direction straight up the stairs to the simulator. He's like, we got to get in before everybody else, so we can get right to the front of the line and keep going like 8 times. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And then have you guys done the tire? What is it? Tire changer.
Tire changer. Yes,
that's fun.
That's fun.
That's fun. I wish I had one of those in my house or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but you have people now. You have your own pit crew to change your tires.
Yeah, there's a pit. That's another.
Yeah,
cost
exactly.
Is the pit crew.
Please talk about that. And just be technical, you can pull the microphone a little bit away from your mouth.
Because I keep like
you keep it in there.
I know, because I'm just. Can you hear me from here?
Yeah,
Sure.
Listen.
Okay.
I may have a $20 tripod, but I definitely have some expensive microphones.
Okay, good.
So my microphones are good.
On point.
It's my tripod that's cheap. So but nobody sees that. But anyway,
that girl got a pretty face but a cheap wig.
Exactly.
But Yeah, so I mean, pit crew, that's just an extra expense, but that's built in the sponsorship and everything else and the race team. But a lot of times how it works is different drivers go to different teams, and basically there'll be a flat fee of 32 races or one race or however many.
Okay. So it's like more work you can guarantee than.
And I can basically bring a sponsor to a team that it's their car, it's their everything. But the minute I step in and I'm in the driver's seat, it is branded as. It might be under Penske or whatever the title is, or Hendrick, as a lot of people know, but it's Roddey Sterling Racing underneath, and it's kind of an independent contractor type relationship. And in other instances, teams will sign drivers, but at the level I'm at, and for the next couple levels that everyone else is at, it's all until you get to Sprint Cup pretty much. I know Jimmy Johnson's an independent contractor, and there are a couple other drivers that definitely are, but I mean, that's pretty much how it works, is you walk into a team with a certain amount of money with a sponsor backing you, and you pay them and they put you in your equipment. But you have to have a good rapport. You have to have good chemistry. It's the same thing as a wrestling show. It's like you have to have good chemistry, not only who you're working with, but as whoever's booking you or the promoter, the ring out. I mean, everything is chemistry. It's all magic.
See, I always look at it like making a movie in a sense too, in that like Caddyshack. I think Harold Ramis directed it, and it was his first movie ever, and he never directed a film before. And so he had no clue what he was doing.
It's the best, though.
Yeah, but he had a guy who was director of cinematography, or he had some people underneath him, in some roles like director of cinematography and other such people that had been doing stuff for decades. That really knew their craft and made sure that he wouldn't look stupid. So if he's like, when we get this shot over here, I'm like, no, I don't think you should do that, sir. And I think you already kind of know this, is that since the sun is over here, you might want to shoot in this direction.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, let's do that. Let's listen to the man that's been doing this for 4 decades.
Weren't you saying earlier that you want to do it this way before?
Yeah, but he would say it in such a way. So I always look at it like that you have those people that probably have been, your pit crew's probably been doing
Golly, yeah. I mean, because I knew nothing. I mean, recently I've had a couple of people tell me that have been high up in the business. I've gone to them and I've asked dumb questions. I said, I got a dumb question for you. And one guy pulled me aside and he said, let me tell you something. There's no such thing as a dumb question. But it's made me feel comfortable, but it is true. I mean, you don't know unless you ask. I mean, you don't always know everything. And a lot of people that you would think are unapproachable or that know a lot about a certain business, whether you're scooping ice cream, wrestling, on TV, racing, whatever. If you don't ask somebody, sometimes you just never know. And it's better to ask. And sometimes people laugh at you, but you get your answer than to go your whole life never knowing or just being afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Because with anything, I think it starts out by just having the balls to do something. So have the balls to ask,
Yeah, exactly.
And it takes a lot, for me at least, because it's like you don't want people to think you're stupid because you feel like everyone on a team, especially, is gauging you as their leader. But I think why a lot of people end up working well with me is because I am approachable. It's because I do have questions. I'm admittedly imperfect, and we often joke about it, which makes their job easy because they don't have to make fun of me behind my back.
Yeah, well, you're
like
dumb. You're a dumb kid. You shouldn't know anything.
Yeah. So they can do it to my face.
Yeah.
Whereas you'd be surprised how many kids are even younger than me, and I won't mention names, and you'll be appalled by this, but it is a going thing that when you sign on with them, I'll look into the camera and say this, literally, if you sign up as their whatever, whether that's not their crew chief, but if you're doing their tires or their fuel, you are not allowed to make eye contact with them.
With the pit crew, you're not allowed.
I know a kid that is 16 years old. You are not allowed to make eye contact with them.
Oh, wow.
I don't understand that because I judge everybody off like eye contact.
Those are the people handling.
See, if you're pouring my fuel right now, I'm in the car looking at you like, you got me, Jay? Like,
exactly.
You got me?
Exactly. Like, this person is putting race fuel into what I am driving.
But this guy, I mean, no one asks him questions. No one talks to him. There's a few other people like that I've heard of, but literally, you can't make eye contact with them. Okay. It's like a Prince thing, or I guess, or an ego. I just don't get into the ego.
You're
thing.
right. It isn't a blue collar sport anymore. You got Prince. You got to point to his object. You can't say his name because it's now been changed to an object now. So
I don't understand it.
No,
I mean,
like those are people making you look good. And you got to not even making you look good, but like almost kind of your safety's in their hands.
Well, my dad didn't go to college, and he's kind of been my role model. He didn't go to college, and I always said, how did you make a successful man out of yourself when you don't have an education, you don't have this, you don't have that, and whatever. And he said, respect everyone you work with, and always surround yourself with people smarter than you, even if you don't want to admit it. And
Absolutely.
I've taken that to be the best advice ever, some of the best advice ever given to me, because you surround yourself with people that, help capture or save your weaknesses.
Yeah.
There's plenty of weaknesses that I have, being organized and sometimes prompt with emails and other things as one. So I have someone now that helps me with that. But because I have that person, I can get so many different things done now that it actually makes financial and psychological sense to keep them on board. Because now I can go out and pitch more sponsorship, or I can do this and do that, and not have to worry about the little things. But even if it's just a friend, I mean, it's like, let them allow people to do their job, trust people, but surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Absolutely.
Because some people that think they're the smartest person in the room are often the ones that don't. Some people go far like that, but at least the people I've been around don't go far when they have that attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Or it doesn't last long.
Yeah,
Generally,
and
you
usually the
can't-
people that are talking very loud aren't the smartest people.
Yeah.
The people that are
I often
quiet.
talk a lot. That's just because I'm ADD. It's not
well,
because I'm smart.
everybody knows that. At least they will after this interview.
No, it's pretty much on everywhere.
It's a
I'm
common
widely,
thing.
It's widely known that Roddey's ADD.
Okay,
It is.
that's fine. Well,
It's also one of my chosen charities.
hence
and some
why you
people-
feel comfortable inside of a race car.
Oh, God, so many things going on. You have to be.
Yeah,
That and crazy.
of course. Now you just mentioned about sponsors. Now, who is your sponsor?
My main sponsor right now is Moon Pie.
Yes.
So they are the best little sandwich you can have, and if you nuke it until it explodes in the microwave, not until it explodes, but until right when it puffs up in the microwave, that's like the best Moon Pie experience you can have.
Okay.
Or one direct from the factory. Actually, if people come to the races, we give out free Moon Pies to the crowd.
Okay.
And literally, they're all factory fresh. So they're not the ones, I mean, you can buy the same ones in certain stores, but the ones we get are like fresh off the press.
Do they come factory
Yes.
to the
Yes,
race
to the
track?
track. And sometimes they ship them to the house and stuff. So whenever there's fans or someone that's like, hey, I love Moon Pies, you know, always will sign something or whatever, and then I ship them like a box of Moon Pie.
Yeah.
It's like a case that'll last them like probably like a year.
Yeah, forever. At least as long as the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably what they're saving them for. The kind of
pro-
people I'm sending them to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Probably.
But yeah, so my main sponsor is Moon Pie right now. And then it's been Expedex, which is now Veritiv Corporation, which is under International Paper. So it's paper.
Oh,
related,
okay.
Paper
Yeah.
and packaging.
Yeah. I'm well aware of that. They're in all of our printers.
Yes, yes. And now working on a couple different sponsors who I don't want to spook off yet, don't want to mention, but they
yeah.
are significantly large companies that are interested in doing work with us in the entertainment aspect and have shown more interest doing that than they actually have with the racing stuff.
Okay.
So they have come to me and have more interest spending advertising dollars on this than they do this.
Okay.
So that's part of why I'm coming to you and saying I think in 10 to 20 years the whole landscape of racing and the business model for it is going to change.
Yeah. Obviously. Well, let's talk about how you woo a sponsor. Like how do you get something like Moon Pie to be
My
like,
first Moon, okay, so Moon Pie started with, I went to high school with a kid and hadn't seen each other for like a year or so. We saw each other at the beach. He was like, hey, what are you up to? I was like, I'm racing. He's like, really? Met up with his parents later because they had known me because we'd hung out a lot. And his dad owns like a food store in Charlotte and had licensing to Moon Pie stuff. So he said, let me introduce you to this guy at Moon Pie. I don't know if he'll be able to help you or not. And I was like, please. I was like so eager. So literally a week out of competition school, a week after I had a license in my hand that said you can race professionally, I put on a suit and cowboy boots, flew to Chattanooga, made a 36-page slide, printed it off, and had it on a USB, went in there and just pitched him. And literally there was like a 1% chance of saying yes to that from what I'd experienced and what I've been told about sponsorship. Everyone's like, you're not going to get sponsored. You're this, that, and the other. So I walk in there, and sure enough, I walk out with a handshake agreement that we would explore things, and within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, their logo was splattered on the side of my car. So, but it took a lot of perseverance, a lot of promises that I had to make that at the time I wasn't sure I had to keep, but had to work my ass off to keep them. Hey, I'm going to win this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. You know,
yeah, but you're putting yourself out there. That's going to motivate you more. And sometimes you got to put yourself out there.
Always.
In a sense.
Always.
Even if it's something simple as like this is even when I moved out here to the East Coast, I packed up everything I owned in a pickup truck, and I'll just figure that out later. You know.
Exactly.
And sometimes you got to go all in life.
Because you have an end goal and where you want to go.
So I mean, if you're putting your out there as like I'm going to win this many races, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this for you. Yeah, sometimes you have to go ahead.
And I was like,
I'm
going to get you in, this many articles or magazines. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and it happened. And so our relationship is going strong, and I think they're continuing to support my efforts. We have discussed their will always be involved with me, but I don't think they probably will not be my primary sponsor heading into like Sprint Cup or something like that, because we're very honest with each other, and Moonpie's been honest with me, and they've let me know where they can help me and then what's kind of out of their depth.
Yeah.
But they've been awesome to me, and I've tried to do my best to represent them well, and it's just an honor to have a company basically with that many fans and that many supporters that's been around for almost 100 years. In 2017, 100 years, that's put their support behind, at the time, an 18-year-old, 19-year-old.
Which is awesome.
So it's like,
but it's an 8-year-old going after his dream.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally like, at that point, Mom and Dad had invested only so much, So I mean, yeah, we still had stuff to lose, but it wasn't like. So I was kind of looking at it like, you know what, F this, like, pardon my French, but if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna walk in there, I'm gonna shake the biggest guy's hand, and I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna listen to what he has to say. And the funny thing is the 30-page slide I talked about, I actually put under the seat. We went to get lunch, and I put it under the seat. And actually did not present it because I said, well, first let me hear about, what your needs are, and da-da-da-da-da. It was actually different than the original pitch I went in there with. So within an hour and 15-minute conversation, I literally switched the pitch to fit his needs.
Wow.
And then when I went home, went to Dad and went to my best friend. I was like, okay, what do I do? Like, how do we make this happen? So anyway, I forgot to tell that. But
I made up everything.
The funny thing is my dad sells paper. That's what he does,
Yeah.
right? And he told me, he's like, there's been more than one time where my biggest client I landed by, he said, I've been in a boardroom and someone's looked at me and said, he's up and coming. He'd be in a boardroom and someone looked at him and said, well, we need this, this, and this. Dad said, we got it. And he said his partner, whatever, that had been doing it 20 years, looking and said, what the hell are you doing? We can't do this. And he's like, we're going to have to.
So some of the time you got to bluff.
Yeah.
You gotta
so
bluff.
literally, I didn't bluff because, I guess I did at the time, but I made it all happen. But it was literally like,
you
to this
put
day
yourself
until
out there.
now, Tori Johnson, the VP of Marketing at Moonpie, will now know that the presentation, the reason why I didn't hand you that packet was because it was completely different from what you wanted to do. But I made it happen. What you did want, I did make it happen. But it was I don't know. It was a dream come true because so many drivers are just so moany about, well, you can't get sponsors. And I was just so determined to get a sponsor because so many people said you can't get sponsors.
Yeah.
It's like when someone tells you can't do something so many times every race you go to, it's like, I'm the new kid. I want to prove that at least I can do one thing, at least one big thing right. But the sponsorship, as far as racing goes, if anyone's thinking about getting into racing, the number one thing on your list, you have to be extremely talented. I think you have to be born with a certain ability, certain personality. But I do think above anything, even if you have those, is sponsorship, funding and sponsorship. That is in a sense for marketing. And I've taken some of my wrestling background from what I knew and brought it actually kind of into racing because I view it more as sports entertainment than a lot of drivers do. I have more of like the Vince McMahon view on it than they do. More of a promotional.
Well, also too is like, I don't know if there's something that I was preaching while you were there, is that you have to understand that you are your own brand, you are your own small business, and you have to act accordingly, and you have to figure out that thing that makes you special than all the other people that are operating their small business. Because it's like, let's say you're a cobbler. And in pro wrestling, there's this guy's a cobbler, and this guy's a cobbler, this guy a shoemaker. This guy's a shoemaker, this guy's a shoemaker, shoemaker. Why would I want to go to this shoemaker over this guy? And you got to figure out how you differentiate yourself, and also too why would they stop in, and just you got to understand those things. And also too you have to and also too another thing that a lot of wrestlers I don't think understand, which is kind of what I'm doing with this, is that just because I knew how to fall down on my back for a while doesn't mean that those skills that I learned wrestling can't translate into doing interviews, doing such. And for you to be as young as you were going through there, to see that like these skills that I learned here can be applicable to the real world and make me successful in the other dreams that I have.
Wrestling, and I wish I could tell George this and you this and everyone else this. It molded me into who I am now. Literally the main thing that I took away from wrestling was the respect aspect of it. Knowing your role, but knowing your ranking.
Yeah.
And it's not always said. It's just like you work hard, you know your role, and everything is earned. I don't know how else to say it. It was literally, I almost can't explain it, but it was like everyone had their badge. You know, everybody had taken a certain amount of bumps or whatnot, or had a certain amount of shows and had a certain amount of knowledge, and it was like a respect. And if you didn't respect them, there were like consequences.
Yeah,
you know?
if you didn't show up to set up the ring, you weren't wrestling on the show.
Exactly.
You know, if you didn't, you know,
And that's
do
stuff
this.
that, quite honestly, high school did not teach me. That the little bit of college I did before I dropped out to race did not teach me. It didn't. Wrestling's where I got the work ethic from, and everything happens for a reason. You know, I mean, you do something in life that'll help you later on, but I totally attribute my ability to at least have respect for other people, to work hard and all that comes from at a young age wanting to wrestle. Because when you got in those between those ropes, it didn't matter whether whose company you owned or what you did or what, you were all the same guy and you're competing for the same thing, and using each other actually, you know.
Yeah.
So it was something that was actually a big part of my life into what I'm doing now. So that's awesome. So I mean, I'm actually really glad I got into wrestling and not like baseball.
Yeah, because you were coming in as a 13-year-old kid, and we didn't take a lot of kids at that time.
No.
Now we have a lot of kids. So I think you were an exception because your mother would always drive you there. So we can at least guarantee to see your mom at least once
Sorry,
a week.
Mom. Jake's going to take you to dinner next week. We've already talked about it. It's the only way he'd agree to do this interview with me is if
I'm well taken care of, my friend.
Are you married now? Or
No, I'm not married.
Are you seeing someone?
Oh, I'm seeing a very wonderful woman. She's also a female wrestler. She's doing a wonderful job of opening up Mellow Mushrooms. She's a guru, and she opens up all these restaurants. But she's another type of person. Like I said, back to put a nice little bow on this little segment of the conversation, is that she's taking the tools that she learned in wrestling and applying them to opening up restaurants for a company that she believes in, which is Mellow Mushroom, which treats her very well. She's able to travel. She was just in St. Simon Island, and I visited her, so it was a nice little weekend vacation.
Oh, yeah.
But she was there to work, so, you know.
Mellow
like
Mushroom?
I said, yeah, maybe you can get them as a sponsor.
Yeah,
I got it in.
One of us. We can tag. I'll tag you in.
Yeah, we'll do it that
Hot
way.
tag.
But anyways, you talk a lot about like marketing, and like I said, that's something that's a skill that's very big in independent wrestling. But another thing I've noticed about you, about the way you market yourself, and I noticed this is this thing called Roddey TV.
Roddey TV.
Tell me how this comes about, and tell me also why it is important for you as a NASCAR driver. Because a lot of times you see now with independent wrestlers, they feel like they need a podcast. They need a pro wrestling T-shirt store. They need these things. Like I said, becoming a more diversified small business. Why do you think you need that as far as being in NASCAR?
I want to show people this is going to be sort of the whimsical, funny me also. We're going to do skits, have live band up there, interviews, athletes, magicians. You, George, can come, literally anything like that, but skits. So it's like Key and Peele, all that, with some of a racing background, but I'm going to have definite segments of it where my goal is to, even if you're not a racing fan, you can find something in it that you can relate to or that you will like me and follow my career.
Because so that way
mainstream.
So that way they can relate to you and like, oh, I like Roddey,
well,
and
like what you're going to do breweries and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or you have?
Yeah.
Or you're
I just talked to Birdsong Brewery.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And then with Hannibal, right? There could be plenty of people out there that might not like professional wrestling, but are going to watch your product and watch you because of you did that.
Yeah.
So
it's appealing to a wider
wider demographic than just pigeonholing yourself with professional wrestling or racing.
Exactly.
So that is what my approach is. Very similar to yours, is kind of reverse. Well, I guess it's pretty much like a funnel, but turning it upside down.
Yeah, you're trying to do something like a humorous.
Correct.
Yeah,
and
so that way people like like Roddey. I'm gonna root for him when I see him on my TV screen.
Or might buy some merchandise, which will be set up soon that you can find on RoddeySterling.com, RoddeySterlingRacing.com. But I think it's a great way to broaden your horizon, and it's also a format for companies, sponsors, to come in even without me reaching out to them and see this kid has potential for commercials or this or that, or has a personality.
Exactly.
And they could say, we want him to represent our product. So you're kind of just putting a bunch of different lines out in the water versus just having one,
Yeah, so if a sponsor wanted to put you in a commercial, let's say Budweiser wanted to get behind you. You're like, look at this guy. He's already likable on camera. We've got this idea for a commercial, we don't know what type of driver we want, but then they see you being humorous. I'm like, oh, no, he would play well in this commercial we've written.
Well, and a lot of times I found that a lot of people want to be associated with the sport, but don't want to pay a Jeff Gordon or a Jimmy Johnson price. Some of the people I'm talking to now are, got $100 million advertising budget, but they can't, not that they can't afford, but they'd rather talk to someone that's up and coming or that has a personality they can buy for pennies compared to someone that's already established that they don't think could really do much.
They want association with NASCAR, but they don't want to pay the.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
which is a good way to benefit someone like you.
Correct. Exactly.
I think Jeff Gordon's doing quite well for himself. Yeah, I think Jimmy Johnson's doing quite well for himself.
I was in Miami 2 weeks ago, and we were on one of the connections I've made through racing, and actually just through family and friends, is I was on the ex-CEO of Burger King's yacht, and we were going down the, I guess, canal, whatever you want to call it, and I saw Jeff Gordon. Apparently it was Jeff Gordon's because it was the name of the boat was 24 Carat.
Okay.
Or something, and his number is 24. But apparently it's his boat, and it was a nice boat, Jeff. You got a nice boat.
So he doesn't need that.
If I don't see you in the next, that's a nice boat, Jeff. That's
He's a big listener. He's a big listener. He's gonna have a lot of time on his hands.
He's gonna have to listen.
Yeah.
We're gonna make Jeff listen. But he's got a big boat. I mean, that thing is. We're talking like a $30 million boat. I mean, it's no joke.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
I need a boat like that, Jake.
Okay.
We'll go cruising. We need a big boat.
We'll definitely do that when you land that Budweiser sponsorship. It's
we're
really
gonna pay
more,
a Budweiser Blue. Okay.
It's really more on you than it is me.
Yeah.
I can deliver you iTunes. That's about all I got right now. So.
Oh goodness.
But no, I think that's great that you're doing that. And what are some other things that you're trying to do, like other than just this TV show, to kind of reach out and diversify yourself?
Well, I've started doing a couple different charity things. Some of them, to be honest with, because I'm passionate, I've backed out of, and I'm re-looking at what charities I want to, kind of pursue. Because some of them I found that I didn't either like the management or I didn't like the way they did things, or I don't know. I'm a big supporter of causes. I just have to make sure that they operate under the standards that if I ran a charity, it would be operated under, that people aren't taking money where where things are going where they're supposed to be going.
Yeah, everything's appropriately.
And so I've been invited and respectfully declined and have entered and exited a couple different charities. One of my favorite ones currently, though, is First Tee. It's because I helped out with that younger when I played golf. I actually picked up a golf club when I was 3. So my dad pushed me to be a golfer until I was about 12 or 13.
Okay.
I said, forget. I could have probably played like college and maybe even like PG. Like when I was 12 years old, I could hit the ball like 330 yards. Like that's impressive for that. I'm not being arrogant, but I'm just saying now when I look back on it, I don't know how I did it.
Okay.
But I have video of it. But Dad pushed me, and one day I got so tired of it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. That's when he learned not to push me to do things. But then I got into wrestling. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I forgot what I was talking about, but charities. So First Tee is basically where underprivileged kids can go, and pros volunteer their time and other kids to teach them the game of golf, and through that they learn different steps and levels of respect and character building and all that, and it's been proven to work. And every so often they graduate kids, and recently we donated a track day. A couple months ago, or maybe it was almost a year ago actually, but one of the big last auctions they had, we donated a track day and a lot of different stuff to First Tee. But that's kind of like the favorite one because of the golf, but also because it really works. I'm not really a BSer, so if you say your charity does this and it's not working or it doesn't look good, I don't. Yeah. I want to participate in something that's going to make a difference. Yeah. So I'm still looking to do more charities and stuff like that. This year, though, like I said, I told you earlier, I'm going to be running some NASCAR Wayland races, and then I'm going to be doing a good bit of this new series called Cars that actually is going to be paying better and doing other stuff like that. But I basically probably have about 30 races, so 30 weeks straight. You travel, and it's very similar, like I was telling you, like what you do. Yeah.
You just have a larger trailer.
Yeah.
Well, they're about the same size. We got a 20-foot trailer now for our wrestling ring, but yours has a car in the back of it.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, though, I get to travel in a bus, so I have like stuff like a bed and a TV and all that stuff. But so you don't have to stay in a hotel room, but it still gets traveling. Yeah, I love to travel just because I'm spontaneous, I'm adventurous. But I promise you, the 30th race, I love my job and I love the sport of racing, but the traveling part of it, I'm going to be over by the 30th. But I mean, you get over it. I mean, but when we did the road course racing, there was a separate rig, but we'd have like a hospitality rig behind the bus. In total, it was like 82 feet.
Okay, so it's 3 vehicles. You got your
so
bus,
it was like,
you got your car.
So it was like, and before that, my dad
caravan.
actually, before we could like afford to have like a driver, Dad would drive the.
Oh, well, that's awesome. That's
No, it's not awesome because my dad's worse than I am as far as being ADD, and he can't even hardly drive a car on the road. So at like 82 feet, it was probably like over whatever anybody's laws were, going like 75 miles an hour on a back road, with like one tire off the road, like curving back and forth, hit a stop sign once, shout out to Pops.
But he's supporting you.
Oh, God.
He's supporting you.
And you know what? That's what's awesome, because there's so many parents that don't support what their kids do. So the fact that he loves me and supports
that's really
me.
cool that he's like, I can't afford this other driver. Well, I'll go ahead and do it because I want to support what my son does.
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and we're like brother and sister. He's my sister. I'm kidding. We're like brother and brother. I mean,
this is the part where you tell me that your father came out of the closet.
Yeah. No, but he's freaking awesome. I mean, we are head to head a lot of times, and we butt heads sometimes. But I mean, he's just. I bypass all that because when you have a father that supported you and tells you he loves you, what more do you want? I mean, so what if he's hard on you sometimes? Yeah. There's plenty of kids that I know and my friends whose dads won't give them approval for shit. So the fact that I can get a hug and I love you every once in a while is awesome, and a lot more. But I'm very fortunate and blessed, and my mom's awesome too. She cares too much sometimes. It wasn't until lately that I got her to actually watch the races. She used to sit in the damn bathroom of the motor coach. Oh, wow. And like could not bite her would cry, could not stand to see me.
Well, and see that's too because like a race goes on for a couple hours. Where like my mom, with wrestling, she's nervous, but my match is only going to last for about 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. So I can only imagine for like hours of that type of anxiety for a mother, it must. Ugh.
Yeah,
I guess I could see. I've never thought of it that way.
I had one bad wreck. Daytona during testing when they threw me into the deep end. It was 2 weeks before the race. It was testing. Okay. It was the only time I've really, really torn up a car. And in road course racing, thank God, you could have insurance. But it was Dean's car. Our Moon Pie car was being tested, and I was running that car. And basically, I went and lost control in the rain at 175 miles an hour or something, and then backed into the wall, like 100 yards, and then backed into a wall. And basically, it was a street Mustang, but it's made race car-ish. Yeah. So it's not like a NASCAR where they're stock cars and they're all composite bodies and all look the same. This is a Mustang just gutted. Mm-hmm. So, but from the rear all the way to the back seat was just smashed, and the fuel tank was behind me, and my seat was wedged. But I was fine. But if she was there, she'd have fainted. So.
She would have needed medical attention. You would have been fine.
Yeah, but we had it insured, so I wasn't getting my butt beat by like my dad or Dean or the team owners or anyone like that. But it was anyway.
Yeah, because you are that young kid, like you wrecked the car.
Yeah, like damn it, you had one job.
The dad,
Roddy, you had one job.
Yeah. Dad has to give you spankings. The team owner, the pit crew, everybody has
comes
sponsors
up, like, hey,
have to come around and give them spanks.
How do you feel? Do you have a headache? First, they are obligated to ask you how you are, and then the minute you say you're okay, it's like, hey, let's lay into him about how he could have avoided what happened.
Exactly. So. Yeah, you got to have that Robert Duvall over top of you. Well, it only took almost about an hour for a Days of Thunder reference.
I know. I think my biggest thing is I'd love to, and everyone's called me crazy, but at some point I would love to get back in the ring for a match or something. Because the one thing I never got to do is I got to train, but since I was so young, I never got to like.
You couldn't really take the big bumps because your body couldn't have handled it. You know what I'm saying? Because you were still growing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That was like the big concern with you is that I could give you a backdrop.
Down, hip toss.
I could give you a backdrop, but we could break the stress bones in your ankle and your legs would grow at different lengths. Like that's,
Benjamin Button.
Yeah, like one leg would grow longer than the other. Like there was that type of issues with you, so we couldn't jostle around too much, but I had some fun jostling you around a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, because I was like a little punk, and it was just it was like you'd be in the stockroom or whatever all day and just pissed off about something. You come out, oh, there's Roddey.
And then he would say something. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have fun with this kid. So,
talk back, know your role.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut your damn mouth.
It was great. You talk back, so I didn't feel bad about beating you up. So, but anyways, we're kind of out of time right now.
That's fine.
So let's. What are the things that you need to plug? This is the time for your plugs. Your
plug is for Roddey.tv, which will be in the next couple months. Moon Pie, obviously with his high spots, correct?
Mm-hmm.
High spots. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And plug what you need to plug. But, I mean, I'm pretty much just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you and for coming out. And I appreciate it. And I've had a blast.
Too. You get social media or anything you want to?
Oh, yeah. At Roddey Sterling Racing and then at Roddey Sterling. So my Instagram and then my Twitter.
Okay.
But my Instagram, I generally post a lot of funny stuff. And then my Twitter is a lot of updates, NASCAR updates and different stuff like that. But if you want to see some entertainment, at Roddey Sterling is my Instagram, and I think it's kind of funny. There's some funny stuff. If you want to be nosy into my personal life and know what I'm having for dinner and who I get in fights with, then you should look at my Instagram.
Okay. I will. And Snapchat.
I'm gonna start doing Vine, but I can't remember what my Vine name is.
Okay.
But I just started doing Vine because I do a lot of impersonations. I didn't tell you that. I can do George Bush. I can do Bill Cosby. I can do.
Well, the Bill Cosby one's kind of a hot one right now.
Don't go putting your pudding pop in something you cannot handle. That's the problem. The problem with me is always getting inside of something I cannot handle.
That was a good Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
One of the better ones I've heard recently. So, but anyways, Roddey, I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Of course, and thank you so much. And I hope I didn't bore everybody to death.
Oh no, at least my dad will be interested in my wrestling. He can care less about my wrestling career, but I'm sure he was intently listening.
We can trade dads for like a week.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you so much.